This time we're going to call to order the meeting on November 1st, 2021. Councilmember Perez, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? That big smile of yours. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perez,
Here.
Vice Mayor Resendez,
Present.
Mayor Velasquez,
Here.
Councilmember Burns,
Here.
City Manager Miller,
Here.
City Attorney Epperson,
Here.
and the record will show Police Chief Reynoso is absent. Thank you. The agenda posting for the City of Hollister City Council regular meeting of November 1st, 2021 was posted on the bulletin board on October 28th, 2021 at 10:04 a.m. per Government Code Section 54954.2. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now going to move to proclamations. Tonight we have one for Key Club Week. Mr. Hart. Oh, come on up. Come on back. Let's talk Key Club. Oh, wait, let's have somebody take a picture with you in here. Charlie.
This is our president, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan. How you doing? How are you all doing? Oh, sorry. How you doing? Come on. There we go. We all good? Paparazzi, we're all good? All right. Key Club is, we'll read this in a second. I just want to say a few words because it's a very important group in our community. And I want to tell a little story that happened recently and how important Key Club is for our community. We are working on the River Park Trail in our city, and we're doing research because a lot of people were talking about how they were involved and it was because of them and so on. So we went back and did research and found out, no, it wasn't because of certain people saying things, but one name did come up that was there from the very beginning, Mr. Hart. And I could not help but laugh and chuckle. And I said, of course, this was way back in the early 2000s, probably before you guys were born. And he was there at the Key Club and they were making things happen in our community. You can see how long it can take a project to get done. And this dream started in the early 2000s. I want to thank you, Mr. Hart, because I know you are always there for this community. I just can't say enough about you and the club. So whereas Key Club International, the world's oldest, largest high school service organization with more than 250,000 members in 38 countries, is observing the week of November 1st through the 6th, 2021 as Key Club Week. And now therefore, I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, proclaim November 1st through the 6th, 2021 as Key Club Week in the city of Hollister, and call upon our officials and all citizens to support the members of this organization and make themselves aware of Key Club, whose members are preparing themselves to be better, more responsible citizens as they provide service to our community. And really, I want to thank all of you guys again. You're so important to our community. Can't say enough. Mr. Hart, come on over here. This is for you, sir.
Actually,
For all of you.
presented to our president, Morgan.
Morgan, you're welcome to give a speech here.
Speech.
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. That's part of being the Key Club. You get to make speeches.
I think it's a heart.
All of you.
Well,
Thank you so much.
I just want to say how proud I am of this organization. The Key Club celebrated. Well, we observed our 30th year in December. We weren't able to celebrate for obvious reasons, but they have been doing great service to our community for 30 plus years, including raising thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars for Relay for Life and UNICEF and a number of charities, and supporting our local agencies that need a lot of labor, like our city recreation group. Just yesterday at Trick or Treat Streets, they did a wonderful job. And actually picking up that river walk parkway. And I think they're going to be continuing to do that in the future. So I'm very proud of them, and they're great leaders as well. This club is completely run by students. We just make sure that they're staying within the bounds that are set, school policy and regulations. But they are the leaders that run Key Club, and I couldn't be prouder of them. So thank you
you.
for the proclamation.
Thank you so much, everyone. Morgan, do you want to say a few words? Just go up and smile and say who you are.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I am the president of San Benito Key Club. I just want to say that it's an honor to be here, and thank you, Mayor Velasquez, for giving us proclamation for Key Club Week. Key Club has been an organization that has truly changed my life, I'd say, and my high school experience. I just want to thank Mr. Hart and all the members, and of course, my supporters right here. Thank you guys. Yeah, and thank you again, Mayor Velasquez.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're now going to move to the consent agenda. Are there any items council would like to pull?
Mayor Velasquez?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'd like to pull A3, please.
A3. Are there any from the public? No, any from the public?
I have no items pulled from the public, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we adopt the consent agenda items aside from A3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. We'll go to item A3. Go ahead, Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just ask if the city clerk or the city manager, city attorney, one of the three, just maybe review the resolution and speak to it so that we're clear. I think we as council are clear, but I would like for the community to also be aware, and particularly those that may be viewing or have questions later. And so I'll defer to the city clerk, I believe.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Back in March of 2020, the governor gave executive orders concerning the spread of COVID throughout the communities in the state. And executive orders N25-20, N29-20, and 35-20 collectively modified certain requirements required by the Ralph M. Brown Act. the state's local agency public meetings law. It waived the requirement that the local agencies provide notice of each teleconference location from which a member of the legislative body will be participating in a public meeting. It waived the requirement that each teleconference location be accessible to the public. It waived the requirement that members of the public be able to address the legislative body at each teleconference location. It waived the requirement that local agencies post agendas at all teleconference locations, and waived the requirement that at least a quorum of the members of the local body participate from locations within the boundaries of the territory over which the local body exercises jurisdiction. Under the orders, the local agencies were still required to provide advance notice of each public meeting according to the timeframe otherwise prescribed by the Brown Act and using the means otherwise prescribed by the Brown Act. Agencies were for a time required to allow members of the public to observe and address the meeting telephonically or otherwise electronically. Local agencies were eventually explicitly freed from the obligation of providing a physical location from which members of the public could observe the meeting and offer public comment. That order was lifted by another executive order. On June 11th, the governor issued Executive Order N0821, which rescinded the aforementioned modifications made to the Brown Act, effective as of September 30th, 2021. After that date, local agencies were required to observe all the usual Brown Act requirements, status quo, as they existed prior to the issuance of the orders. Local agencies must once again ensure that the public is provided with access to a physical location from which they may observe a public meeting and offer public comment. Local agencies must also resume publication of the location of teleconferencing board members, post meeting notices, and agendas in those locations to make those locations available to the public in order to observe a meeting and provide public comment. Following the governor's September 16th signing of AB 361, the governor's office contemplated immediately rescinding the remote public meeting authority provided under prior executive orders. Such action would have instantly impacted thousands of local agencies, potentially requiring them to cancel meetings or conduct in-person meetings or meetings pursuant to standard Brown Act teleconferencing requirements, notwithstanding the ongoing health directives related to the pandemic. After discussions between the CSDA, the governor's office, and stakeholders on how to best assist local agencies to conduct meetings in an open and public manner, the governor's office modified its approach and issued a revised order on September 20th, suspending the provisions of AB 361 and providing for a clear transition. Until September 30th, local agencies should look to the revised order N1521. We're past that now. The revised order makes clear that until September 30th, local agencies may conduct open and public meetings, relying on authority provided under those prior executive orders. AB 361 provides flexibility for remote open meetings during a proclaimed state of emergency. An important note on AB 361, the provisions can only be used in the event that a gubernatorial state of emergency, 1 has been issued and 2 remains active. It is not sufficient that county and/or city officials have issued a local emergency declaration. The emergency declaration must be one that is made pursuant to the California Emergency Services Act. The provisions enacted by AB 361 providing flexibility to meet remotely during a proclaimed emergency will sunset on January 1st, 2024. This is subject to change if a future legislature and governor elect to extend the sunset or make the provisions permanent. Another important note is local agencies must still provide advance notice of public meetings and must still post meeting agendas consistent with the provisions of the Brown Act. AB 361 does nothing to change the fact that meetings must still be noticed and agendized in advance. No requirement to have a quorum of board members participate from within the territorial bounds of the local agency's jurisdiction. Agendas are not required to identify each teleconference location in the meeting notice agenda, and local agencies are not required to make each teleconference location accessible to the public. Under the requirement under AB 361, in each instance in which the notice of the time of the teleconference meeting is given or the agenda for the meeting is posted, the legislative body shall also give notice of the manner by which members of the public may access the meeting and offer public comment. The agenda shall identify and include an opportunity for all persons to attend via a call-in option or an internet-based option. The legislative body shall allow members of the public to access the meeting, and the agenda shall include an opportunity for members of the public to address the legislative body. In the event of a disruption, which prevents the local agency from broadcasting the meeting to members of the public using the call-in option or internet-based service option, or in the event of a disruption within the local agency's control, which prevents members of the public from offering public comments using the call-in option or internet-based option, the legislative body shall take no further action on items appearing on the meeting agenda until public access to the meeting via the call-in option or internet-based service option is restored. Local agencies must clearly advertise the means by which members of the public can observe a public meeting or offer comment during a meeting remotely via either a call-in or internet-based option. Agencies whose meetings are interrupted, oh, I just said that. We must resolve any technological disruptions before taking any actions. And finally, if the council so chooses to pass this resolution tonight by a majority vote, that meeting in person during the state of emergency would represent imminent risks to the health or safety of attendees. The resolution would permit meeting under the provisions of AB 361 for a maximum period of 30 days. After 30 days, the local agency would need to renew its resolution consistent with the requirements of AB 361 if the agency desires to continue meeting under the modified Brown Act requirements or allowed the resolution to lapse. After 30 days, the local agency is required to renew its resolution affecting the transition to the modified Brown Act requirements if it desires to continue meeting under these modified requirements. I believe that the city attorney and I are suggesting that we put a sustained resolution on every agenda and consent because of the 30-day provision. We could lapse if we do not. If we do not meet again before the 30-day period during which the resolution remains active, the resolution will lapse for lack of action by the agency. After a resolution is lapsed, if the agency seeks to meet remotely again under the modified Brown Act requirements, it must pass a new initial resolution affecting the transition to the modified Brown Act requirements subject to the same substantive and procedural requirements as before. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, sir?
Mayor Velazquez, please. I would simply like to thank the city clerk for explaining that and clarifying any questions that I would have had. So thank you. Also like to thank the city attorney and the city manager for your work on this as well. And that satisfies my curiosity. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to adopt item A3.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
4-0. We will now go to public input. This is the time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to the city clerk before speaking. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. If you are joining us by Zoom, please click on the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. If you are joining us by Zoom using a cell phone, please press *9. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Alex Siwak.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name's Alex Siwak. I have 2 items that I have to cover in a total of the 3 minutes allowed. The first item is that for some time now, we've been asking development services and engineering to let us know how we can go about satisfying conditions to either make sewer available to a parcel on Hillcrest Road, right where a 10-inch sewer line is running along its frontage, or if that's not feasible, how we could actually request connection to that sewer line and pay the various fees and so on. Now, LAFCO indicated it would process an outside of jurisdiction connection if the city requested to do so. LAFCO approved such a connection in 2015 for Mr. Culler's 1.5 acres minor subdivision, now 1/2 of Mr. Intravia's 3-acre package that you are allowing to proceed for annexation, the construction of possibly 11 triplexes with connection to sewer. Mr. Intravia's parcel is across the street from this one, would connect to the same sewer line that lies in the frontage of this parcel in Hillcrest Road. The subject parcel is in the sphere of influence. In 1990, was pre-zoned by the city, agreed to annexation, dedicated the future widening of Hillcrest Road and Meridian Avenue, and entered into a recorded deferred improvement agreement. We request that you ask Development Services to provide what conditions are necessary for the issuance of a sewer availability letter, or the conditions to actually request and effect sewer connection. The second item relates to the Rosati subdivision. The tentative map was approved last Thursday evening. We have two issues on that. One, the most easterly existing manhole in Santa Ana Road in front of the school's frontage shows that the sewer line exiting it to the west is, according to the sewer map that was part of the sewer study by Wallace Group out of San Luis Obispo in 2010, that line is 10 inches long, 10 inches wide. In the tentative map, that sewer line is indicated as being 8 inches wide. In that map, that 8-inch sewer line continues to about 2/3 of the frontage of the Rosati development, but does not go to its eastern terminus next to the villages and the Brigantino homes. In that same sewer study in 2010, it was shown that east of the Rosati development, back up along Santa Ana Road, across Fairview, and down south towards Hillcrest Road, there's about a couple of hundred acres of parcels in the sphere of influence. In 2018, we submitted a sewer feasibility study to the city engineers for our pre-zoned acreage.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Starrett.
Good evening. Mark Starrett, 505 Toronto Court, Hollister. I'm a member of the Airport Commission, but this is an unofficial presentation here. It's my views, my discussions. This is going pre-COVID. We're going over the airport budget. It came to my information there that the airport was operating at a pretty substantial negative loss. And I wasn't sure why, so I started asking questions, and the airport manager explained to me there'd been a lawsuit and that it was $700,000 in attorney fees, but it was going to be reimbursed to the airport. And I said, well, so I jumped to the conclusion, silly me, that must mean we're the prevailing party. So some months go by and checking on this, and the discussion comes up again, and I'm asking about, when's this reimbursement going to occur? And I'm told, well, I said, we were the prevailing party, correct? And notes, well, no, there really wasn't a prevailing party. Further discussion, no, the airport lost the lawsuit. So it kind of surprised me that I felt we got led down this road here, the $700,000 attorney fees. I think I could have lost that lawsuit for $100,000, but that aside. Going into deeper there things, I go, well, what do we have to do? What the airport have to do in order to bring the airport to the standards the FAA would accept the work that was done out there for the grant? And so apparently the airport had to pay another $1 million to get the work done. So we're looking at $1.7 million of losses. And I asked airport manager, was this due to compaction? And he said, yes, it was. I said, well, you sued the wrong guy. You sued Chapin. You should have sued the geotechnical engineer because that's a compaction issue. They go the tests and the guy, if the work doesn't pass it, then you do it again. But not at that stage, it was too late. So long story short, I feel that was, that kind of airport management is not fair to tenants out there paying, working hard, paying their rent and expecting good things to happen out there at the airport. So I know that before long, you guys are going to be looking at possibilities for new airport managers. I just would like to know if you would consider allowing the airport commission to get involved with that to somewhat. It's a very unique business. It's not like any other business. Airport business is different business. And we got a very well-educated airport commission. I think they could be of help to you. So that's my request. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have no more speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We'll now go to item D1, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just kind of on that last note, the airport manager's position has been posted. We're just waiting for it to close, and then we'll start going through the interview process, but I will definitely consider talking to the airport commission.
Thank
That's
you,
it.
sir. D2. Training.
Yeah, the chief had something.
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I apologize for my tardiness today to everyone. Did have a training to report. A couple of weeks ago, I missed the meeting here because I was at strategic and succession planning training put on by the California Police Chiefs Association. It was a one-day course in Pasadena, and I'm looking forward to talking and reporting to the council later on. Our plan is to provide a succession plan and a strategic plan for the police department so that the council can participate in that. It's a long process. It's going to involve council, the public, staff to have input into what our police departments should be look towards in the next 3 to 5 years. And succession planning is how we're going to get there with the staff that we have. What are our plans to make sure that when we leave retirement, that there's people that are trained and ready for positions of promotion for the city. So all of that's going to involve a lot of work, but I'll be coming back to council with more plans in regards to that.
Thank you, sir.
That is it.
That's it. We are now going to move to item F1.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Amber Cameron. I'm an associate planner with the Planning Department. Tonight, the Planning Department is asking that the City Council consider amending, modifying, and revising the existing contract between the City of Hollister and PlaceWorks, Inc. for the general plan update and environmental review that was entered into upon on February 2nd, 2020, to include the scope and services and costs and schedule to be conducted by PlaceWorks in cooperation with Goldfarb and Lippman LLC, authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment to the professional services agreement and authorizing the city to receive grant funding for Sb2 and approving a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $64,000 from the general fund. On February 2nd, 2020, the City Council approved Resolution 2020-17, accepting the proposals received for the City of Hollister's 2040 General Plan Update and awarded the contract to PlaceWorks, Inc. for the preparation of the General Plan Update and environmental review. Staff is requesting that the City Council consider amending the existing contract between the City of Hollister and PlaceWorks for the General Plan Update and environmental review to include the development of an inclusionary housing program. Exhibit A, scope of work and cost, has been attached for the City Council's review. PlaceWorks has provided a budget for the development of the inclusionary housing program, which will be approximately $58,172, and the estimated timeline for completion will be in May of 2022. On October 21st, 2019, the City Council authorized staff to apply for the Sb2 Grant. On May 18th, 2020, former Development Services Director Brian Swanson, on behalf of the City Planning Department, executed the agreement with Cynthia Reinhardt, Contracts Manager for the State of California Department's Housing and Community Development, to receive $160,000 in financial assistance in the form of an Sb2 grant. This grant is to provide financial assistance for the preparation and adoption and implementation for a plan for accelerating housing production. Approximately $54,000 of the grant funding has been allocated to create an inclusionary housing ordinance for the City of Hollister. Staff is requesting that the City Council authorize an additional $10,000 beyond the $54,000 of grant money, for a total of $64,000 to cover the cost proposed by PlaceWorks, with an additional 10% contingency. Staff also requests that the City Council, in adopting the $64,000 supplemental appropriation request, authorize the city manager to authorize spending of this contingency budget in the event that minor changes to the scope of work are needed to accomplish the project. It is also possible that the remaining $108,000 of the Sb2 grant funding, while currently allocated to additional approved projects such as pre-approved ADU architectural drawings and zoning amendments, updating the City Hollister's website to have capabilities and more clarity for users when it comes to planning items. This may be able to cover the additional $10,000 requested at this time. As staff moves forward through the grant, we'll be able to work with the state to adjust funding between the different projects as necessary to ensure that the city receives the entire $160,000 of grant funding that was rewarded. This resolution would approve the contract amendment and scope of work, cost, and schedule. Approve a supplemental appropriation of $64,000. Again, $54,000 of it would be reimbursed through the grant. The additional $10,000 would be through the general fund. And it would also authorize the city manager to authorize changes to the scope of work to be reimbursable, not to exceed $64,000. The resolution would also authorize the receipt and the award of the Sb2 planning grant. And with that, it's staff's recommendation that the City Council adopt a resolution to amend, modify, and revise the existing contract between the City of Hollister and PlaceWorks for the general plan update and environmental review entered upon on February 2nd, 2020, to include the scope of services, costs, and schedule for inclusionary housing programs to be conducted by PlaceWorks in cooperation with Goldfarb and Litbar for the City of Hollister. And again, authorizing the city's manager to execute the amendment to the professional services agreement, as well as authorizing the city to receive grant money for Sb2 and approving a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $64,000 from the general fund. Staff is very excited to bring this to you tonight. Myself and my colleague Eva Kelly, we've been working really hard to get this to you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask away.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Okay. Do we have any from the public?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I can say I'm excited too. So thank you very much. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Well, that was fast. The motion, is there a second?
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. We'll move to item F2.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This next item is a resolution requesting the approval of the appropriation of $17,696 from the general fund to prepare a streetlight analysis and design for 6th Street between Monterey Street and West Street. As the council may know, right now there is currently no streetlights between Monterey and West. The only streetlights that are present are at the south corner of Monterey and the south corner of West. This will allow us to do an analysis to identify what needs to be done as far as the type of streetlights. In this case, as the council may remember, we were directed to proceed looking to solar to see if this is something that could actually be done. And therefore, we have this before you for approval.
Thank you. Any questions from council? I do have a quick question. Did that price, is that including the streetlights or is this just for the analysis?
That's just for the analysis and the design as well.
And I did read a comment that was important in there. It talked about the potential glare issue. One of the
Correct.
reasons for doing it. Have we had a chance to ask all the neighbors on that block if they're all right with this? Is that something we've done at all?
Not that I'm aware.
I think it might be important because I think some people, before we get ahead of ourselves, I think it's important to get the streetlights up. But it might be important to have that conversation with some of the neighbors. Councilor Perez, have you had that
Yeah,
conversation?
so I've spoken to 1, 2, 3, from 7 of the houses on that street. I'm not sure how many houses there, but I think I'm probably like at 40%. Everyone seems to be on board, but I think, just to be fair, because wasn't able to talk to everybody, if we could do something to reach out to, everyone's going to be happy for it because it's dark. Yeah, and the streetlights that he mentioned, they're basically on Monterey Street. So, and it's a safety factor. It's a good thing. But if we could do something to reach out to them, just to get their input, I'm sure they're going to go for it, but that'd be great.
Sounds good.
Councilor Burns, did you have a question?
I do, Mayor. So, Mayor, I've heard what you said, and I agree with what you and Councilmember Perez have suggested. And I'm wondering if we can approve the request this evening with the contingency that they at least reach out to X percentage. I don't know whether it's 75%, 80%. We'd prefer 100%, of course, but that way they can move forward. And I would also presume that as part of the analysis, they could do a consideration to shield or hood some of the lights to reflect or to deflect it from hitting certain areas as well. I would assume that would just be part of the overall study, would it not be?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Mayor. Those are my thoughts and comments. Thank you.
Actually, I do have a couple other questions. So during this this analysis, what does that look like? I mean, is this going to be able to be used like on other streets that are similar, or is every street different?
This is specifically for that specific street, based on the canopy cover, all the mature trees that are out there. It's going to be different for different streets. So this is specifically for 6th Street.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more question on that. And we found this because there was concern because of the not enough light for the solar first off, and the canopy of the trees blocking the light.
Correct. And there is a
around.
lot more that goes into it. It's not just the placement
Right.
of the solar. It's also making sure that there's no conflict with other utilities, water lines, sewer lines. So there's a lot that goes into it. Same thing with the foundation of the street lights. So the analysis will take all that into account. Once we move forward and we decide to go with the solar company, they will have to meet with the consultant as well to determine what's going to be the best route as far as placement of the solar for charging over different periods of the day.
And also, Mayor, this is also to protect us for our liability.
Right.
If you put a light in wrong and it causes an accident or for additional, protect somebody from it. And this way we have somebody that actually did the analysis, and that's what we followed.
Right. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also wondering if there would be an opportunity here to consider maybe some sort of cameras in that area. I don't know how challenged the area is in crime, but I know we're always looking for opportunities. And if we're going to do a study for this, if we didn't maybe do a joint study to at least look at that issue as well.
Don't we have cameras in Dunn Park also?
Yes, we do have cameras at Dunn Park. We could expand those, but as far as this roadway, there's no cameras there, and we would have to look into where they would connect. If there might not be a clear signal for the wireless cameras that we've been installing. Obviously, the wired cameras are very, very expensive to have conduit there. But we can look into it to see if there's a feasibility to connect cameras and point them towards Dunn Park where we already have a network there.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Thank you, City Manager.
Also, something to consider when you do speak to the person that would do the analysis, those solar lights also have options that they have sensors on them, and they will shut off if there's no motion in the area. And it covers a pretty wide area. So
Correct.
if a car starts coming down the block, halfway down the block, it'll turn itself on. So there's a lot of good things can happen with these types of lights,
Exactly.
and all street lights now. It's all the new technologies. But I agree with Mr. Burns' comment about working through this and having that condition of, I think 80% is a very good idea, very fair.
Mayor, if I can, I mean, we will get 100% of the notices out to the public, but we never know what the response is going to be.
Yes.
So I think you more would ask for the number, for
Notification.
percentage of response.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do we have any speaker cards on this?
I have no speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Burns, would you like to make a motion with your recommendation?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-204 with the changes proposed.
Of the 80%?
80%
Right,
of the response.
Try to get 80%, but as city
Well-
manager pointed out, it's probably,
Right. Well, I would like to see 100% noticing.
Yeah, we'll do 100%
Noticing,
noticing. It's getting the
right,
response back
right,
is the hard
Right,
part.
And frankly, if Councilmember Perez and I need to walk the neighborhood, we could certainly do that too. I'd be more than willing to volunteer as well as we can to just, I'm not going to suggest we sell it, but I think people oftentimes, they'll read something and immediately their thought is, well, there goes my tax base again. I'm going to be paying more. But, I don't know that that's in fact true. So
You want like 75%?
Yeah, I think 75 is good.
that's fine with me.
perfectly fine.
And that's 75% of the response?
Yeah, 75% of the response
So the respondents,
Right.
is for it, or just that we get a response for it.
for it,
Okay,
right,
gotcha.
of the respondents. So for example, a third don't respond, we'll have 75% of those that did respond. Make sense?
Yeah.
Correct? I know it's hard. and we can't get 100% response.
I was looking at, of the 100% that we get the notices out to,
Uh-huh.
we would want, so let's say there's 10 out. Let's say 10. So we still need 7.5 of the
Okay.
residents to
Gotcha.
respond to us.
Okay,
So that would make like 8 in that situation.
okay, correct. All right. Oh, we're clear on that?
So, no.
No, no.
I'm a little confused.
Now
too.
I'm confused.
Well, Mr. Burns, it was your motion.
I'm not sure we have consensus either. So,
If I can,
so,
I understand what you guys are trying to do and accomplish, right? But I think that we have a responsibility to notify 100%. Yes, absolutely. But we can't control the response.
I
I think
agree.
we're doing a little bit, we're overreaching a bit here, in my opinion. I think that we have obligation, yes, to notify everybody. And even that is not required, if I'm not mistaken, right? But to require 7.5, which means 8 houses, I think we're doing a bit much. I would just say that we notify 100%. And then, I mean, I don't know, typically, what do you guys get in response as far as percentage? Is that even something you look at?
It all depends. I mean, there's times where we do 300-foot notices for projects. I mean, we get 30% response, 40%, 50. There's times where we get almost 80. I never seen 100%. So it just all depends.
Yeah, I think we're.
Or we can
doing
look
a
at it
bit
the
much- We're being a bit ambitious here, in my opinion.
Or we can look at the 218 process where we get more than 50% that say, no, I don't want them, then we don't move forward.
I like that one.
Okay.
That's the one I like.
I might go with that idea too.
so somebody
and-
wants to amend the amended
Amendment.
Did we ask for public comment first before we did? And the only reason I brought this up is because some people can be pretty passionate about dark skies. So want to make sure we're very clear.
No, they live on 7th Street.
Okay, so Mr. Burns, do you want to amend your motion?
Yes, I'd love to, Mayor. So I'd like to amend my previous motion for Resolution 2021-204 to include that we at least get a 75%.
Wait,
No.
if we get more than 50% that
Okay.
say no, then we will not move forward.
Precisely, that's it. Yeah.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We have the motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Did you get that, Christine?
It's hard, but what if we don't do it? Oh, yeah, exactly. I think we need to do this speed humps too. We will now move to item F3.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I am Charlie Bedolla, your acting fire chief. Resolution number 2021-205 is a resolution of the city council of the city of Hollister to allow the Hollister Fire Department to apply for the fiscal year 22 Bay Area Federal Urban Area Security Initiative UASI Grant, South Bay Hub operations for the fire. This item would allow the Hollister Fire Department to apply for the fiscal year 2022 Bay Area UASI Grant South Bay Hub operational area for satellite phones, communications equipment, and firefighter ballistic helmets, impact protection, and for hostile events and the active shooter. Staff recommends that the city council adopt a resolution authorizing the Hollister Fire Department to apply for the fiscal year 2022 Bay Area UASI Grant for the satellite phones and the ballistic helmets.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from council?
Mayor, thank you. Chief, what's plan B in the event we're not awarded this? That seems like essential equipment that frankly we should have regardless.
It is essential equipment, but we're kind of hit the new trend, which has been ongoing is to get this equipment towards the fire department and the communication. So we've been working towards this. So our first attempt is to go ahead and get this through the grant. If not, then we're going to have to bring it to our budget.
So if we were to, if this council were to approve the acquisition of that equipment and then we got the grant, could the grant money still be applied towards the monies that was already budgeted for the equipment? Again, I just don't want to see us playing catch up when we don't have to. And when you're talking life safety, to me, that's a critical incident.
Yeah, right now we can make some movement and some monies to go ahead and purchase it, but we didn't budget for this. So this was something that we were going out there and the need is coming in because it's hitting close to home, the active shooter as in Gilroy. So we did provide vests already to all our department personnel, but now we just need the helmets to protect us. And you got to remember, we're not going in there into a hot zone, but we need to be able to provide the equipment because an officer's usually leading us in there to snatch and grab victims and to pull them out. So even the bare bones minimum would be a fire helmet with the vests to protect the essential parts of the body, the head actually, and the critical organs right there. So right now there's nothing budgeted, but if it's not something that does come through, then we could move forward with it.
Right. I've heard you loud and clear. Any sense for what that equipment will cost?
It's like between $13,000 to $20,000, but what we applied for was we were looking for 45 helmets and it's like a regional area. So 45 helmets is more than what we need, but we'd apply at least 3 to 4 on each fire engine and the chiefs on there. But if we become successful with this full grant, we'd be able to give some work with CAL FIRE in the Fairview Station and Aromas Tri-County Fire Protection District. So it's a slidable grant, a slidable scale. So we'll have to see what they give us from there if we do become successful on it.
Thank you, Chief.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I apologize if I missed this in the report, and I probably should ask this ahead of time. Is there matching funds requirement for this grant?
There isn't on this one. No.
Okay, thank you. If, I think just for future, if we can make it clear, like under financial impact, I'd like to see if there's matching funds for, that's probably for all departments, if that's okay. Thank you.
Do we have any speaker cards on this item?
I have no speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, but with an amendment, possibly if council will entertain. Move to approve it. However, I would also like to move forward to buy the equipment, at least the minimal amount of equipment in advance. I heard the chief say that if I heard him say that correctly, somewhere between 13 to 20 grand for the equipment. And and particularly if it's going to be reimbursed if we get the grant. And if we don't get the grant, we still need the equipment. So why would we delay purchasing the equipment? And so I understand it's not budgeted for, but I do see an importance to this equipment. Frankly, I'm surprised that the fire department doesn't already have it. But that would be my friendly amendment to the resolution.
Actually, Mayor, if I can, and to the council, usually with grant funds, they will reimburse it you after after it's been awarded, they'll reimburse you for that purchase. They won't do it beforehand. Now, that doesn't say we can't buy minimum separately, but I wouldn't buy it to be reimbursed until you've been approved, the award's been approved.
Understand. I just don't want to risk public safety
Right.
or our firefighters' safety as well.
Right. Like I say, you can do it separate.
Okay.
But yeah, I
Okay,
wouldn't tie it.
So
to-
I don't know how we get there from here, but I'll look to the mayor's direction and guidance on this. But what I don't want to do is have to wait for the equipment. And so maybe we only buy enough to put on the rigs that the chief has suggested. And maybe we buy less. I don't know, but again.
And I believe we should be getting words not too far off. So as soon as we do get the word, then we should be able to purchase them and then get that too. So it's a little farther. The process has already started. Because they told us to get in and prepare for it. So
Yeah, and I'd be concerned that we can bring a separate item on the next council meeting because this is that important. But if I check with Jason, it kind of seems separate. We're talking about a grant. And so that's.
That absolutely works for me, assuming we can get it on. Are we talking, we have a special meeting coming up.
I mean, he can probably basically copy this and get it on there.
Okay,
really quick.
that would be great if we could do that. I just don't want to risk somebody getting hurt unnecessarily.
yeah, absolutely. If I could interject real quick, I apologize. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies did issue us their surplus equipment that they did get. So we do have some ballistic helmets right now. We do have their old ones because they did purchase some new ones with that. So we do have some helmets that are in the process of, we need to get those on the engines.
So do they, like hard hats are they have a use by date, they have a wear date. Hopefully these helmets have a long life still, because the helmet's great as long as it does what it's intended to.
Now, Chief Reynoso would probably know a little bit more than that. I believe the integrity, as long as it's not hit.
Well, no, I think Councilmember Burns is right. Now they're making a certain lifespan, kind of like the ballistic vest. They're only warranting those helmets to a certain time, and they're all different depending on the manufacturer. Some of them as little as 5 years. So after that, it's not that the ballistic protection is not there. It's just that they're not warranting the recommended replacement after a certain time. But you would have to look at the specific helmet and what they are warranting that item for.
If I could just maybe recommend gathering that information. So in the future meeting, we could discuss that there and have that and make that decision at that point. So we don't confuse this item as was recommended. Council or Vice Mayor Resendez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my concern is this, that if we're planning on purchasing anyway, we might disqualify ourselves from even being able to apply for the grant. I think we need to separate the two. Let's just, in my opinion, if we can approve this and then we can direct staff to come back to report to us. I don't think there's any need for us to waste time and energy from the staff's perspective to present or get an item together. So I think we just need to either address this issue that's agendized, have staff come back with a report. Either we got the grant or we didn't. At that time, we can give them direction to move forward. But I think that we're we can potentially disqualify us from getting the grant if we're planning on purchasing it anyway. And second of all, I think it's a waste of time, energy from the staffs, for the staff, in my opinion.
And I could follow up and see if when we're getting notified on that, on the status of it, when we're going to get, if it's going to be a long ways out or if it's going to be right around the corner.
That's what
I
I was
could
gonna
report
say.
back to you the next
That'd be very
council
helpful.
meeting.
Thank
Yes,
you.
or staff can, through email to
Okay.
report what the lifespan of the ballistic helmets we have on. right now.
That certainly works for me. So
Yeah.
with that, I'll move to approve the resolution as written.
Okay, there's a motion,
I'll second.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes,
Aye, 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to item F4.
F4, Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you again. I am Charlie Bedoya, your acting fire chief. Resolution 2021-206 is a resolution of the city of Hollister with the city council of the city of Hollister to allow the Hollister Fire Department to accept a grant from the California Office of Traffic Safety OTS 2022 for $114,000. This item will allow the Hollister Fire Department to accept a 2022 California Office of Traffic Safety Grant for $114,000 for vehicle extrication equipment. So staff recommends that the city council adopt resolution authorizing the Hollister Fire Department to accept the grant in the award of $114,000 from OTS.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Do we have any public comments?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion?
Move to adopt.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
second,
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
yes,
Yes.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move now to item F5.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So we brought this forward as as part of the budget process, we've been given direction to go out for $20 million in basically bonds or another financing mechanism for our roads and alleys. Sorry, I should say streets and alleys. And as part of that, we want to show whoever's buying our bonds and to make us very attractive that we have at least some kind of reserve policy in place where we're setting aside monies for either to pay our bonds and or spending additional monies for our roads and alleys moving forward. And what we've recommended is a phased-in approach starting next fiscal year of 20% of the property tax in lieu of VLF as a basis. Right now, we're bringing in about 3.7 million. So it'll be 20% the first year, 40 the next year, all the way up to 60% of those funds to be set aside, either spent in the fiscal year on roads or used basically to pay towards the bonds.
Excellent. Good news. I see a lot of roads getting fixed real soon here. Any questions?
and alleys.
And alleys. Streets, I'm sorry, I said roads again.
Yeah, I say it
Streets
too.
and alleys.
I live out in the county, so
All right, do we have any,
the streets are right across the street from me.
do we have any speaker cards?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
yes,
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. We'll move now to item F6.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Before you tonight is a resolution where we're requesting your approval for the First Amendment for the 2021 Memorandum of Understanding between the County of San Benito, the City of Hollister, and the City of San Juan Bautista for the submittal of an application and operations of a CDBG CV 2-3 Public Service and Public Facility, program to be funded. I believe Enrique Areola should be connected from the county. He's the deputy director. No, okay. I guess I am, okay. He was gonna answer any questions you guys may have in regards to the amendment to the MOU.
Okay, is there any questions from council? Do we have any speaker cards?
No speakers, Mr. Mayor?
Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
yes.
All right,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this resolution, we're
This is Item
seeking,
F7.
oh, yeah, sorry. Want to get it over with. So we're seeking your approval for authorizing and directing the city manager to execute a lease agreement for an office space at 357 and 361 Fifth Street. This lease agreement would be for 5 years. It's the building located right next door to us, and we're currently in the need for space for the Human Resources Department and payroll. So the building is centrally located, and it would also be a good location for employees to be able to access, and also for the city's fiber network. You guys have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
Mayor
Councilmember Burns,
Velasquez.
Go ahead. sir.
Thank you. This isn't really necessarily a question about what you're asking for, but I'm curious, does that building also have space where if the council wanted to establish some offices that it could accommodate council's needs as well? I've considered an office for myself, and I know that this has been a conversation in previous years, as I recall. And I think there could be value to council being able to establish at least a 1 day a week opportunity for our constituents or residents and guests of the community to come and visit us. And so,
Yeah, I can't see why not. We would probably have to figure out how to maybe accommodate a little bit. Usually with HR stuff, we try to keep that very private, or if staff comes in for whatever meetings that they're having, that it has to be so that the council member couldn't hear that area, but I'm sure we could try to figure out how to accommodate that.
thank you. That's my question. Thanks. Sure.
Does this mean you don't like the table they set up for us outside?
I'm going to reserve comment on that.
Vice Mayor said this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there a current tenant in that building? I thought there was. Do you
No,
know?
It's vacant now.
It's vacant now.
and it's
Okay.
Building, just so everybody knows, it's the building, the white
Yeah.
building right next to us.
Yeah, yeah. I know they had the martial arts or something in there. so
Correct. Yeah,
I
they're
thought it was
now,
still functioning.
they're across the alley now.
And then just Daisy, you've helped me out with this before. If we ever need a space, like if we want to reserve this area or the conference room, we can do that through you, right? To meet with constituents and stuff. So
Yeah,
that's available
and-
to us too.
Yeah, Christine as
Christine.
well.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think
submit,
I've
she
reserved it through
approves.
her before. So yeah, so that's always an option too. If we ever need a space to meet with constituents, we have that ability here at City Hall too, which is nice. You can have town halls and whatnot. So just putting it out there. Thanks, Daisy.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Speaker cards? No speakers tonight. Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Staff,
you.
thanks you very much.
Thank you. We'll move now to item G1, reports from city council members regarding their committees. Mr. Burns,
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report.
Mr. Resendez,
Thank you, Mayor. We attended COG and you might have to cover that item, Mr. Mayor, because I think it was business as usual. We approved, well, I'll let you talk about it if you
which
remember.
item were we?
COG. And then LAFCO. LAFCO was very interesting. We had a joint meeting between the county, the two cities. It was really good. I really enjoyed that. I hope that we can have more meetings like that. It was very informative. And of course, we talked all about planning. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
I also just wanted to comment on the LAFCO meeting that the county hosted. I thought it was very informative, and it's a good thing it's a good way for our city and county, our cities and counties to start working closer together. That's it.
Thank you. As far as the going back to my meetings, COG, it's just standard, making sure we're following through Highway 25, 156 coming along. And there was a new item we added. Last year, we did a rail study, and I've asked the director to follow up on a proposed train service that is being offered now and from Watsonville to Santa Cruz. And the interesting thing about it, and the problem we've had here, is to bring rail service here, we would have to electrify the lines as Caltrains is moving towards that, which is extremely expensive, and the cost of estimated costs are over $100 million. But this train service is actually an electric, battery powered train that can seat up to 50 people. So they're making contact with the manufacturer right now to see if we can get more information, see if that's something that could work here. I know the rail line was improved recently, but we're going to try to find out. And if that is something that's possible, that could speed up the potential of passenger rail service to Gilroy, and from Gilroy, they can get on Caltrain to go on to San Jose or San Francisco. So it's really interesting. It's exciting. So good things still going on in our community. That's all I have for my reports. Is going to item G2, informational reports from council. Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to know, not necessarily this evening, what the status is on the playgrounds at Clower Park. I see that they're fenced off and have been for a while now, at least. I want to thank the city attorney. I had no idea what a challenge it would be trying to find out what a legal definition of the word consensus is. But I do think it would be helpful knowing that there is no clear definition for maybe this council to work or with the city manager to maybe establish some sort of a policy that we as a council can define what that is. Rarely do we have a problem with that, but just I'd rather have the language and have a clear understanding in the event rather than try and figure it out after the fact. So I would ask that maybe we do something in regards to that. And again, thank you, Mr. Epperson. I'm sorry for sending you down the rabbit hole. I would like potentially to maybe have either a special session or maybe in closed session. I would like to know more about the airport budget per se, and also the lawsuit that our person spoke about at the during public comment this evening. And I also do believe it would make sense to have one or two maybe commissioners part of the recruitment or hiring interview process for the airport manager, since I would presume they'll work very closely with that individual. And then finally, I would ask that the city manager have the acting planning and community development director reach out to Mr. Sayak regarding his questions about the properties he's attempting to move forward. It sounded to me like annexation was on the table, but somehow we couldn't get past that. And I don't know that that's true, but I would like greater clarity on that as well. Mayor, thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Resendez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just the community stuff, Red Ribbon Week, fantastic job. Trick or treat. I'm gonna mess this up. Trick or treat, sweet treats?
Treat sweets.
Treat sweets, okay. Third year, total hit. I think the Arts Council did something for Red Ribbon Week. They did the cardboard challenge. I love, and I can't praise your department enough and all of your partners when you guys do these types of things for our community. I think that it's a major investment to our small businesses. I love the partnership that we are building with them, everybody that was out there. And it really does just go throughout the entire community. Everybody's talking about it at my job. The businesses love it. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Thank you. I know it's not easy, but you have proven time and time again, and your department has proven to do such a fantastic job. And that is very important for us. So really great job. I'm so appreciative of that. And then we have a fantastic time when we're out there talking to the residents and the constituents. So thank you guys for all the hard work that you do. And thank you to all the partners that helped to put that on.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Yes, I think I got a laundry list. Just kidding, Jim. I'd like to see, I'd like to know what's going on. What's our lights on the streets downtown, on the trees. I don't know if the company we hired they maintain them, but now that we're it's getting darker sooner, and we're gonna have a lot more downtown events. I'd like to see about either getting them maintained and also extended to the side streets. I don't know if that's an additional cost, if that's something we can use the American Rescue Plan. Also, I did notice they have other options for different types of lights instead of just those string ones. That they have some that are. I seen some in Capitola the other night, and they were like really beautiful also. So to see if there was like a different option, if something to liven up our downtown with our lights. Also, before I forget, in 10 days, we're going to be celebrating our veterans. And since we won't have a meeting till afterwards, I'd like to thank all the veterans out there for all their service. You guys can't say enough. Also, is there, can we get an update on anything that's happening with the fire safe room at the wastewater program? I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I know you're the electrical room.
The
in the
electrical
fire-
room, correct. If we can get an update, see what's going on with that. Does anybody know, or I don't know if I should reach out to, maybe I can, excuse me, reach out to the Arts Council, because we asked about getting a contest or something for our city flag, or getting one made up from the Arts Council. Also, and I don't know if I should have, I was going to try saying this during the G2 comment, but I also have been meeting with the 150th, I can't say it's just because whatever it is, the 150th celebration of Hollister's birthday. I wasn't able to make it for the last meeting, and I wanted to apologize. It was part of the AB 361 consequence, yes. So I was on timeout. But that celebration is historic. We are going over some things to adjust some things for that. But it's exciting. It's historic. It's once in a lifetime. It's once in a history, not even a lifetime. And I would like to thank all the volunteers, all the different agencies that are involved with that for putting so much time into this. We really appreciate you, and especially the private businesses. We're getting a lot of private sponsorship from the big businesses and small businesses throughout our city. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. I too want to thank the rec department for an outstanding job to see all those families out in our downtown this weekend, just having a really good time. And it's just amazing. And I heard it as I walked down the street over and over from the public saying, I didn't know we had all these great things in downtown. So much fun here. And that's what we want to hear. And great success. Thanks to you guys and our partners, as Vice Mayor Resendez pointed out. But all the partners working together, we are unstoppable. The news was here. They wanted to interview me about it and want to know everything, how we're doing this. And it's just great. Just fantastic. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. I do also want to bring up the speed humps. They've been very successful in the way that the community wants them everywhere. But I also noticed something, and I brought this up about that light. With success, there's criticism, and there are those that are criticizing the thought of having to slow down for a speed hump. There are those that are criticizing them for different reasons, including additional noise that can happen with the speed hump. And I'm wondering, I think in the past we had a policy, if a street wanted to have speed humps, they had to have a petition or something. And I'm wondering if we should put something together for some of these streets, because I can definitely see the great majority, overwhelming, want the speed humps. But there are going to be those that are going to complain about it and feel that they didn't have their say in the matter. And I think it's going to be important to make sure the public is clear that yes, it will, you do have to slow down. That's why we're doing this. And there is a potential for some additional noise as some people insist on revving their engines once they go over one. And I'm sure Chief can handle that part also. But I just think it's important to be fair and upfront with the public, and maybe we can come up with something to.
Yeah, we can come up with a policy or some kind of process to request them.
And that way, as we get more speed humps, we could prioritize those streets that are getting those filled out from their residents as a way to do it. So it's a fairer process. I see hands going up on my side. Councilmember Perez.
Actually, I found page 2 of my laundry list.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, it's
I'm
just
done with
two-
mine. So
two quick things. One, we authorized the building and permitting department to go over some the permits to raise their costs on some of their permits that they issue. And I had a constituent reach out to me about one of the those permit fees. I'd like to get a copy of those to see what they were and what they're going to. And the other one, Pickleball Court. Do we have an update on the paint? That was it. Thank you.
Yeah, the pickleball court is a gift that keeps on giving. Yeah, we thought we had somebody that would come in and paint them for a reasonable cost until his boss found out what he was doing. So staff is looking at to just purchase the paint themselves and go ahead and do it themselves.
thank you. And
So-
I think for a little more clarity, I think there was I've had this comment or question to me, and Councilman Burns also had the question about Clower Park. I believe you said that they're ready to start moving on that soon, or?
Yeah, sorry, I was writing notes for Councilmember Perez's last item. Yes, so for Clower Park, they lowered the equipment to match up the ramp, the ADA ramp for that piece. And then also now they're waiting to put the cement in or slurry for the tiles, and they probably have to wait for the weather to balance out, but they are moving forward. Plus they are adding some other additional features like a merry-go-round and I believe a swing, ADA swing set.
If we can get a timeline, it would be
Sure,
helpful.
I'll get you-
because I'm sure Mr. Burns, it's his district, but I do get that question quite a bit now. And it will help us keep everybody on their timeline. All right, thank you. We'll go now to city manager.
I'm just going through real quick what council just brought up. So that was the main thing with Clower. And also I would like to thank the recreation staff and then also the public works staff. Without their help closing down the streets, none of these projects would, or the activities would have happened. And it's just amazing how great of a team we have working together on these. And I did not anticipate the amount of crowds that were going to come out, walked out through the alley, and it was just wall-to-wall people. I'm looking both directions, and it was amazing that we can throw such great events. And I just really want to thank staff for everything they've done, especially on a Sunday, on Halloween, when they also have family. So I really appreciate it.
Excellent to everyone. City attorney,
Thank you. No report, Mr. Mayor.
chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, I was advised of the two issues that were brought up when I missed the meeting, and one of which was the animal control opening on Saturdays. We are working on that. We do have one staff member that is on light duty, and we're hoping to get really good news next month that they'll be able to come on full duty. But we are looking at different plans, and one of which is to have them open 2 Saturdays a month to start. And we're also looking at the possibility of maybe a weekday staying open longer as well. But I should have some more information for you by the next council meeting and try to implement that as soon as possible. The other issue that I think was brought up was about having more volunteers at animal control as well. And we can look into maybe advertising for that on social media and doing what we can. But we're always accepting applications for volunteers. The problem we've had in the past is volunteers sometimes want to work hours that they want to work and do only what they want to do. And so it can be problematic with the staff. And but we're open to anyone that wants to apply for the positions. We don't have a limit on volunteers. It's just having people that are wanting to work in and be consistent, because staff can train them and then they're helping and then they kind of disappear. And right now we're very limited to how many we have, but they're fantastic. The ones that we have are fantastic and they've been with us for a long time. But we are open for new volunteers and anyone who wants to be part of our extended family.
Chief, I noticed that the police department has a robust social media page. I see it, and congratulations, first of all. I really appreciate what is put out on a regular basis. And I'm wondering if you could maybe have that social media page, maybe put something out about the volunteers and the potential for extended hours in the future.
Sure.
Thank you,
I can
Chief.
do that. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Resendez, you have another?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just wondering, have you seen any impact because of COVID, and what are you doing with the volunteers in regards to COVID?
I think the regards to COVID, they're following the same guidelines that our regular staff follow as far as working there at the shelter. Anything more specific, I'm not sure what you mean.
I'm just wondering, did we lose volunteers because of COVID and they haven't came back? And then if not, then are we going to have, or do we have any protocols? So I'm just wondering, because like parents can't come on the campus at schools because of COVID. I'm just wondering if it's any different with your department there.
I haven't heard of losing any volunteers because of COVID. I know there was a time where they weren't there. Similar to the police department, we did have volunteers there, and during the last year, during the beginning of COVID, we followed direction from the city manager to not have them come to work until that was resolved. But since they've been back, they have been following all the protocols, CDC requirements and OSHA. And but I don't believe we've lost any because of that.
Okay, good. Thanks.
All right. Is that it? Thank you. Is that it, Chief? City Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if I sent you all an email, but I will be out on vacation last week. It was picked last January or February. So of course, if you need me, I'll be available by phone next week.
Well, enjoy your vacation. And don't make it available to us. Take a vacation. We'll move now to item G3.
Thank you, Mayor. I have Selena from Integrated Waste to talk about their green business program updates.
Okay, let's see if this works. I think the mic is on. Oh. Yes. Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Today I have joining me Brooke Wright. Brooke, are you able to unmute yourself?
I am. Thank you, Selena. Good afternoon.
Okay, today Contractor Environmental Innovations and myself will be providing a brief overview of the Green Business Program updates and a special focus on the program resources and support that was provided to aid our local businesses in recovery during COVID. As a reminder, IWM, through a joint powers agreement, administers recycling and waste reduction programs such as Green Business to meet CalRecycle mandates and report diversion progress to the state on behalf of our regional agency members, which include the City of Hollister, the City of San Juan Bautista, and the County Unincorporated.
In addition to providing business recovery support and general green business certification support, this year's contract with Environmental Innovations includes new source reduction programming that we will go into more detail later. Okay. It looks like it might not be working. Sure, okay. We can, perfect. This program is part of a statewide program, the California Green Business Network. Businesses who enroll in the program are guided through a certification process that address environmental measures in the areas of energy, water, transportation, pollution prevention, source reduction, recycling, and more. These businesses receive free technical support, access to rebates and other free resources, and the education needed to green their operations, which is good for the environment and their bottom line, a win-win. Our local program is part of this statewide network of green business programming for small and medium-sized businesses, and the network includes a coalition of 40 participating cities and counties with over 4,000 certified green businesses in the state. Funding is provided by the state and matched by the participating program agencies. And thanks to leadership at IWM, EI, Environmental Innovations, and the state network, significant resources have come right back to Hollister businesses via rebates and staff time. Okay. For our local businesses, there are many benefits to getting certified or fully certified or simply by participating in the program to obtain efficiency certification, which is a more simple 12-step program compared to the full certification. Through participation in this program, businesses learn how to conserve resources, reduce their operating cost, and improve employee wellness. Businesses who obtain full certification receive free promotion at the local and state level. And many of businesses who we work with report that these see increases in their sales when they become fully certified. At the local level in San Benito County, we have grown from 0 certified green businesses in the beginning of 2018 to now 31 certified green businesses, and 13 of which are located in Hollister. IWM staff continues to manage coordination and program development, but business outreach, resource and tool development, and much of the technical support to our businesses is provided by Environmental Innovations. Additionally, we have numerous program partners who make the success of the program possible, such as the Hollister Downtown Association, the San Benito County Chamber of Commerce, Recology, our franchised hauler, who provides free waste audits, staff training, free recycling containers and signage, and then Water Resources Association of San Benito County, who also provides water audits, low flow sink aerators, low flow toilets, and other water conservation tools. We currently have 39 businesses enrolled, 20 of which are in Hollister, who are actively working on their certification. I think Brooke was going to jump in on this slide.
Sure thing. Thank you. Thank you for giving us some time to share the highlights of this program with you tonight. This seems like so long ago already, but we're looking at some of the highlights we have from last year. We had a Small Business Saturday ad campaign where we were able to do free digital promotions for already certified businesses. And remember, this was in the wake of the pandemic. And so we were trying to still get attention to the small business community, even as they weren't able to have customers in their stores quite as much. And what we wanted to share also is that we had some state funds for rebates for recovery effort to certifying the businesses. So these funds could be used by businesses for any operating green operational costs to support them in lowering their overall costs on utilities and also to help them just operate generally through a tough time. And we used that time also to get more staff on board at Environmental Innovations and to get stronger in our ability to help businesses from afar. And thereby, in the long run, going into this year, we have a lot more tools at our disposal so that we don't need to be in person quite as much as we used to.
Okay, thanks, Brooke.
We won't be playing this clip today for the sake of time, but this is just one example from a recent interview with business owner Margot from Margot's Ice Cream Parlor in San Juan Bautista, who has been saving thousands of dollars each year on her utilities by participating in this program. And I think Brooke was going to take this slide too.
Great. Yeah. So just wanted to take a moment to also mention that San Benito County is really a model green business program. The program certified more businesses per the total business population than other similarly sized counties in 2019, right after it had just launched, which was also part of what made it so impressive. They were also one of the leaders in helping develop an agricultural checklist, which we hope to pilot in San Benito County very soon and get San Benito County the first certified farm in the state. We continue to see San Benito County's program as a leader in how to work in rural communities effectively and collaboratively with government, businesses, associations, and other nonprofits.
Thanks, Brooke. So in addition to the free resources and support that is provided to our local businesses, our regional agency members see increased environmental outcomes. EI ran a 2-year report from March 2019 to the end of March 2021 that showed certified green businesses in San Benito County reduced their waste by almost 800,000 pounds and additionally saved over 53,000 through green practices. And this past October, we held our first in-person green business mixer since the pandemic began. It was held in Hollister at Certified Green Business San Benito Benet using her parklet, and then was catered by enrolled green business Farmhouse Cafe. 14 businesses were recognized and awarded their green business certificates that day. Councilman Rick Perez assisted in handing out signed certificates from the city of Hollister, and also in attendance included City Manager Brett and City Staff Daisy. Overall, it was an exciting event and great opportunity to reconnect with our growing green community. And our next mixer will be in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce on January 19th, and we hope to see you all there. I think Brooke is going to take it from here. Brooke, just let me know next slide.
Sounds good. Thank you, Selena. So that was mainly looking back, and now we want to start looking forward a little bit. We are happy to be able to be back in person doing outreach and supporting businesses in person. We work closely with the county to ensure our program helps the region meet waste mandates. To that end, and to help the sector that was hit hardest by the pandemic, we are prioritizing restaurant outreach this fiscal year. And we're also planning to work with schools, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. Another great change we've had recently is we were able to hire more bilingual Spanish staff and have started already utilizing that staff to do outreach in Hollister to restaurants there. So speaking of the restaurants, so we included, I think Selena already mentioned, we included a little bit in the contract this year to be able to support foodware ordinance outreach. You may remember IWM's intern Monica presented on the foodware ordinance concept in the past, and City Council was very interested at that time to move forward. Another presentation was given a few months ago, and we received the feedback from you to get more business input and feedback and build tools to support the businesses. At this point, we've had 34 businesses fill the survey that addresses foodware ordinance questions for them and gets their feedback on the potential ordinance. And many of them also include where their pain points are. When they do these interviews and it's in person, they're able to share some of the details of what their concerns are, and then also what they're looking forward to about the ordinance too, and what types of resources they would need to be able to comply with it successfully. So we will work to double that number by the end of the year of participants in the survey. And let me just see, hang on a second, Selena. I don't want to talk for too long, but I do want to talk a little bit about the resources that we're bringing. So one project that Monica is working now is developing a robust vendor or distributor list so that restaurants and retail business owners can access the types of products that they would need to comply with the ordinance. Another issue that has come up is that sometimes those products are more expensive than what is standard. And so one way we're addressing that is we've included a $250 cash rebate for up to 20 businesses that need it to be able to meet the foodware ordinance, but also meet some of our green business guidelines. So we get them going on the green business path and meeting the foodware ordinance and give them this cash incentive for doing that. We will be offering bilingual support as the ordinance phases in. And thanks to feedback from this council, we have been partnering with the Chamber and the Hollister Downtown Association on outreach for the survey and getting more business input as this process develops. Surveys were distributed in their newsletters this month in social media, and we are continuing to get the word out. And just, yeah, actually, maybe this is a good time to move on. I have too many notes. So a couple of things. One is that we started this new model of doing challenges. And this is something that we're piloting across the state, actually, but definitely within this regional Monterey Bay area, including San Benito, doing several pilots of this. Basically, it's trying to address the problem of making something a priority that's a voluntary program. So participating businesses can tend to let this process drag on. And we thought, let's make a way to make it a higher priority for them by giving them an incentive to finish sooner. And that'll save their time, which is their money. And it'll also save our staff time so we can serve more businesses. So what we did is got businesses in saying that we will give them free promotions on Small Business Saturday if they have completed a certain phase, the one that Selena was talking about earlier, with that efficiency tier, if they finish that by the end of this week, actually. So we're really striving to get the last few through, but it does look like we'll have several to promote for Small Business Saturday. And then we also want them to finish their full certification by the end of the year and be able to celebrate them at that mixer that Selena mentioned earlier. So our challenge model is to try to get businesses sort of in a cohort model through the whole process within 3 months. And we'll be likely to give it a try again early next year because it seems to be working. The second update is about the green schools, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. And we are planning and developing a green schools program, which means working with the district, teachers, and students to ensure that schools are as green as possible and that the students are getting environmental education by participating in the certification process. So we're developing some projects and tools to help kids actually own the process of certifying a school. We are likely to launch a pilot with a few schools next academic year and are excited to bring it all together with all the parties that are already doing great work in the schools.
Thanks, Brooke. So if there are any questions, we are available, but we just wanted to, for today, provide an informational update on the Green Business Program and hear any additional feedback you may have.
Thank you. Councilmember Perez.
So this is one of my committees, and they're all good committees, but this one I really love because it's they're all great staff, but this one's a little special because it's like we're saving our community in a different way, and it feels really good. And going to the mixer was really awesome to see how it was encouraging to see how many businesses just showed up that weren't even getting awards. Seems to be a big buy-in. You said something about 34 of the restaurants or businesses gave you feedback. Was that just like the restaurants and stores, or is that also the wineries and?
No, we were targeting restaurants and retail stores.
Okay, so that's probably what, 130-ish?
I'm not sure.
I think it's about 130. That's great. I mean, for just starting out, I think it's really awesome. It's made, well, the other thing I liked was because we were talking about how teaching our youth how to be green or go green. And it even affects me. So like I went to the Andy Hardin Stadium and I was able to participate in announcing some of the games for the Rebels. Congratulations, Rebels, on your win. But it made me more conscious because I walked around the stadium and there's no recycling bins. I was like, how dare them? So I just wanted to throw that at you too, because I know you guys are working on the Green School program, and you guys are doing great stuff, and then it's an honor to be part of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know what your staffing capacity is, but on the dais this evening, I heard what a great event the Parks and Recs Department has put out, and the Halloween event. I won't even hazard a guess on how to say the event, but I think it'd be a great opportunity for your group to put up some sort of an educational booth, or some sort of a partnering with the city on that kind of stuff to further get the word out to parents and kids. We often know that the kids are really great at hounding the parents, and so if you get both at the same time, that's a win-win. And then the other thing, I'm not sure you may or may not be aware, but this council is very excited. That's my impression about bringing food trucks to our region. And so you might look at them as well, because I'm sure they'll have some people eat at the facility, and they will probably have a lot of to-go stuff as well. So I would just like to put that on your radar as well. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Good point, sir. Any other? Go ahead, Vice Mayor Resendez.
Thank you. Global warming is a very real thing, and people are talking about it on all levels. They're having a summit right now taking place. It's the most pressing political issue, in my opinion, and it shouldn't even be a political issue, in my opinion. I am really excited to get this presentation from you tonight. We've had conversations before, but I learned a lot more about what's going on in our community. I didn't know that we didn't have a certified farm in our state. I did read about one in another state. It's huge for them. It brings in a lot of tourism. They're getting a lot of publicity. If we can establish the first one here in San Benito County, fantastic. Like, let us know what we can do to support you. I know that there's organic farmers here. Maybe you can reach out to them and see. They're probably pretty close to being certified. But I really want to see that happen. And then we should probably publicize that pretty big. I was going to ask about the foodware update. We've had conversations about it. You guys provided that. I'm very impressed that you got 34 businesses and that you're aspiring to double that amount of input or feedback by the end of the year. That's very ambitious, and I'm happy to see you do that. We need the businesses to buy into this concept. We very much, I think, are supportive of it, but we can't mandate or tell them what to do unless they've got access to those tools. So I appreciate you guys getting the vendors to them and just making things really easy. I'm a teacher. I applied for a mini grant. Was that through you guys for
The
$100?
CRA, yeah. Well, not through us, but we help promote it.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm really excited about it. And I've even been
Yay.
talking to my students about it. I don't want to talk bad about my employers, but I will tell you that there's some concerns about the recycling in our classrooms and things not really being recycled is what I hear from other teachers. So I as an educator, I think it does really tie back into the youth. We need to teach them to save our planet. And how can we all be a little bit more conscious with that? I welcome it as an educator. I welcome it as a council member. Thank you for all the work that you guys are doing. I don't know what else to say. This was a wonderful presentation, Selena. Fantastic job. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Absolutely excellent job to all of you. Do we have any speaker cards?
I have no speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation tonight.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. H, I, J, and K, there's no business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yes.
Motion carries. 4-0. Thank you, everyone, and good night.